You say you're ambitious. You say you have plans, dreams, ideas that light you up inside. You imagine a future that looks radically different from your present. Maybe you want to start a business, write a novel, get in shape, change your career, build something meaningful, and yet, day after day, you find yourself standing still. You know what you want, and sometimes you even know exactly what needs to be done. But something happens between the knowing and the doing. You freeze, you scroll, you make coffee. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, even as a small part of you doesn't believe that anymore. And every time you don't follow through, a silent weight settles on your shoulders. A whisper of self-doubt gets louder. You start to feel the gap widening between the version of yourself you could become and the version you are living right now. That gap hurts. It doesn't hurt because you're lazy. It hurts because deep down, you care. You see the potential. You want more. And that's exactly why the pain is there. Because every day you don't act, your dream drifts further away, and your belief in yourself fades just a little more. Let's start by acknowledging something radical. You are not the problem. The problem isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline. It's not that you're not trying hard enough. The real problem is something deeper, quieter, more invisible. It's what we'll call the ambition-action gap. The ambition-action gap, picture this. You're standing on the edge of a cliff. Across from you, there's another cliff. And on that cliff is your ideal life, your goals, your dream career, your strongest, most creative self. But in between, there's a canyon. A deep, invisible gap that separates who you are from who you want to be. Every time you think about taking a step forward but don't, that canyon seems to grow a little wider. Every missed opportunity, every abandoned task, every moment of hesitation adds a pebble to the backpack you're carrying. And over time, that backpack becomes a burden you feel everywhere, in your chest, your mood, your sense of self. This isn't just metaphorical. That weight becomes real. Maybe it shows up as a constant feeling of being behind, or as guilt that lingers through your day. Maybe it's that tension in your body when you lie in bed thinking, I wasted another day. And here's the twist. You're not lacking ideas or intelligence. You're not short on vision. In fact, most people caught in this gap are highly aware, deeply thoughtful, even perfectionistic. That's part of the trap. You can see step 100, the finished product, the success, the applause. But step 1? It feels invisible, buried under overwhelm, self-doubt, and pressure. So instead of acting, you plan. You watch another video, you write another list, you wait for inspiration. But it doesn't come. The pain of inaction. Let's not minimize how much this hurts. There's a unique kind of suffering that comes from seeing your potential clearly, but feeling unable to bring it into the world. It's not that you don't want it. It's that something inside you stalls at the starting line again and again. And that's where the shame creeps in. You might start thinking, what's wrong with me? You might start calling yourself lazy, unmotivated, undisciplined. You might start believing that maybe you're just not cut out for this. That maybe you only dream big, but can never follow through. But what if the real issue isn't moral failure? What if it's not about your worth at all? What if your brain is trying to protect you? That might sound strange. But for many people, inaction is not a defect. It's a defense. The defense mechanism hiding in plain sight. Your brain is always working to keep you safe. And safety from a psychological standpoint isn't just about physical threats. It's also about emotional risk. Taking action on your goals means exposing yourself to failure, to judgment, to the possibility that you might not be as good as you hope, that you might try your hardest and still not succeed. So your mind, trying to protect your self-worth, throws up invisible walls. It whispers things like, I'm not ready yet. I'll start when I have more time. This isn't the right moment. And because these thoughts sound logical, you believe them. You delay, you wait, you stay safe, but also you stay stuck. This is the ambition-action gap in motion, and it's more common than you think. What this series will explore. In this video series, we're going to look at this gap with clarity and compassion. We're going to explore why intelligent, capable, motivated people can still find themselves paralyzed by invisible blocks. We'll uncover the hidden beliefs that keep you from starting. We'll talk about how shame, perfectionism, and overwhelm sabotage your progress. But more importantly, we'll map a way out. Because this isn't where your story ends. And the gap between who you are and who you want to be, it's not as wide as it feels. But before we move forward, we have to start by facing where we really are. Not with blame, not with guilt, just with honesty. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you're stuck. And that's something we can work with. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the invisible blocks that create the ambition-action gap and how to recognize them in your own life. You're not broken, but you might be carrying something heavy that no one else can see. Let's talk about the invisible weight that keeps you from crossing the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. This isn't about laziness or lack of ambition. In fact, it's often the opposite. You have ambition. You have dreams. You see the potential future so clearly that it almost aches. But there's a hidden cost to that kind of vision. The pressure of knowing what you could be while feeling paralyzed in the present. And that pressure, it doesn't motivate. It suffocates. Because every day you wake up with the weight of your potential on your back, like an invisible backpack full of unmet expectations, quiet regrets, and looping thoughts. You replay the same mental movie, the life you could have if you just got started. But instead of fueling action, that vision becomes a haunting reminder of the distance between here and there. This is where the gap gets dangerous. Not because it's wide, but because it starts to feel permanent. And once something feels permanent, your brain starts rewriting the story about who you are. You stop saying, I haven't started yet, and begin saying, maybe I'm not the kind of person who ever will. This is not your fault. This is the mind protecting itself. When we consistently experience the pain of trying and not following through, our brain steps in to help us avoid the discomfort. It whispers things like, don't bother today, you'll just fail again. Or, let's wait until you feel ready. And in that moment, it feels like protection. But in reality, it's quiet sabotage. It chips away at your self-trust. Every time you say you'll do it and don't, it leaves a mark. Not just on your to-do list, but on your identity. You start to feel like a liar to yourself. And that is one of the deepest forms of inner conflict. Now here's the important part. You are not the problem. The system you're trying to function in is. We live in a culture that tells us to hustle hard, be excellent, and stay positive, all at once. It praises action but rarely talks about the mental blocks that stop action in its tracks. It celebrates outcomes but ignores the psychological minefields that sabotage the starting line. So let's name some of these invisible blocks. Not to blame, but to see clearly. Because what you can see, you can work with. 1. Overwhelm. Disguised as ambition, you might be carrying a mountain of ideas and plans that feel so important, so massive, that you freeze before even taking step 1. You see the peak, but not the trail. And the pressure to get it all right kills any momentum before it begins. 2. All or nothing. Thinking. If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. This mindset turns every small beginning into a judgment. It says, unless you're sure you can succeed, don't even try. 3. The identity trap. You've built an identity around being smart, capable, maybe even high potential. But starting something new threatens that image. What if you try and you're not instantly great at it? It's easier to remain in potential than to risk the vulnerability of imperfection. 4. Emotional avoidance. You might be scared of what success would demand from you, or what failure would say about you. You avoid taking action not because you don't care, but because you care too much, and can't bear the emotional consequences of getting it wrong. These are not excuses, they are explanations. And when you understand the mechanism, you gain power over it. You don't need to fix yourself, you need to build a bridge. That bridge isn't made of grand plans or motivation hacks. It's made of small, consistent actions that lower the cost of starting. Tiny behaviors that don't trigger your inner critic. Steps so small your resistance doesn't even notice them. This is where the magic happens, because once you start moving, even a little bit, you shift the narrative from I can't to I'm becoming. From I'm stuck to I'm in motion. Let go of the fantasy of leaping across the canyon in one dramatic sprint. The leap never comes. What comes is a series of slow, clumsy, often invisible steps. Steps that don't look like success, but feel like truth. And that is what closes the gap. In the next part, we'll talk about how to rewire your actions from the inside out. We'll stop relying on willpower and begin designing a system that actually works with your psychology instead of against it. Because it's not about fixing who you are. It's about finally walking the path that lets you be who you are, without the weight. You're here because something inside you wants to move. You're tired of watching your potential drift farther away with each passing day. You're not here to be told that it's your fault, that you're lazy or undisciplined or not enough. You're here because something deeper in you is alive. And maybe, for the first time in a while, you're ready to listen to it. Let's talk about the shift. Because everything changes. Everything. When you stop trying to outthink your resistance and instead start working with it. Not against it, not in denial of it, but with it. We've spent enough time looking at the invisible barriers, the perfectionism, the overwhelm, the fantasy loops, the shame, the fear of success. But now comes the part most people never get to. The rebuild. And this isn't about overhauling your life overnight. It's not about becoming a productivity machine. It's about rewiring your relationship with action itself. Step 1. Ground in honest observation. Before you move forward, you have to get brutally honest about where you are. And I don't mean just writing down your goals again. I mean writing down exactly what you've actually done to move toward them. In real life this week. Not what you plan to do, not what you researched, not what you watched on YouTube, what you did. This is the point where many people want to look away because the truth stings. But this sting is sacred. It's the gateway. It pulls you out of fantasy and brings you into contact with your life. You're not doing this to criticize yourself. You're doing this to reclaim control. Reality is your friend, even when it's uncomfortable. Write it out. I said I want to write a novel. This week, I wrote 0 words. I said I want to start a YouTube channel. This week, I recorded 0 minutes of content. I said I want to get in shape. This week, I moved my body 0 times. It sounds harsh, but here's the truth. This moment of accountability is not punishment. It's power. Because now you can stop chasing motivation and start building motion. Step 2. Shrink the step. Here's the mistake. Most people think they're fighting laziness, but they're actually fighting friction. The real battle isn't with your willpower, it's with your starting energy. The activation cost of doing the first tiny thing. And here's the good news, you can hack it. How? Make the first step ridiculously, embarrassingly small. Don't write a chapter, write one sentence. Don't go to the gym for an hour, just put your shoes on. Don't overhaul your business. Just open the file. You're not aiming to achieve, you're aiming to start. Because once motion begins, momentum takes over. This works because of a principle in behavioral science. Lower the activation energy until the action becomes frictionless. Make it too small to fail. Too small for your inner critic to argue with. Too small to scare your brain. And when you do this, something powerful begins to happen. You begin to rebuild trust with yourself. Step 3. Create a daily minimum, the non-negotiable micro-habit. What makes a habit stick isn't intensity, it's consistency. Don't try to impress yourself, don't chase motivation. Chase the streak. Build a chain so reliable that it starts to change your identity. 2 minutes of writing every day. 5 push-ups. 1 paragraph of reading. That's it. That's the floor. If you go over, great. If not, no problem. You showed up. You did something. That's what counts. That's what rewires your brain. Your new goal isn't to be impressive. Your new goal is to be consistent, because consistent people finish. Impressive people often burn out. Step 4. Detach from the outcome. Here's a paradox. The more you obsess over the result, the less likely you are to take action. Why? Because if you make every small step carry the burden of success or failure, you'll avoid it. You'll make it too emotionally expensive. So here's the secret. Remove the weight. Forget the outcome. Focus on the ritual. Don't write to finish a book. Write because you're someone who writes. Don't exercise to get a perfect body. Move because you're someone who moves. Don't record videos to go viral. Create because you're a creator. You can't always control the outcome, but you can always control the action. And this shift from outcome-driven to identity-driven is everything. Step 5. Build an anti-perfectionist mindset. Perfectionism isn't a high standard. It's fear in disguise. It's a defense mechanism dressed up as excellence. It whispers, if it's not flawless, don't bother. But the truth is, flaws are how you grow. Messy is how you start. Imperfect is the only way anything ever gets done. So instead of asking, how do I make this perfect? Ask, what's the smallest version I can release? What's the worst first draft I can tolerate? How can I make this easier, not harder? Because every masterpiece began as something awkward, uncertain, and very, very incomplete. Step 6. Track the pattern, not the feeling. Most people rely on how they feel to decide if they'll act. That's the problem. Because in the beginning, you won't feel like it. The feeling comes later. After the action, not before. So track the pattern, not the emotion. Ask, did I take my minimum step today? Did I move even a little? If the answer is yes, you win. If the answer is no, don't spiral. Just ask, what blocked me today? And adjust the system. Missed a day? Fine. Return to baseline. No shame, no drama. Just a reset. Step 7. Make it visible. Make it real. The mind loves abstraction. Plans, dreams, future selves, they're all in the clouds. But action lives in the body, and your environment is a massive lever. So put your goal where you can see it. Leave your journal on your desk. Tape your daily minimum to the wall. Put your habit tracker on the fridge. Visibility creates accountability. Tangibility creates action. If you want to move, build a space that invites motion. You don't need more motivation. You need less friction. You don't need to believe in yourself to take a step. You just need to take the step. And the moment you do, something begins to shift. You move from the passenger seat of your life into the driver's seat. You stop being the person who dreams and start being the person who does. Even if it's small, even if it's clumsy, even if it's slow. Because slow is still forward. Imperfect is still real. And motion, no matter how tiny, is the antidote to regret. So don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to be confident. Be in motion. You've made it this far. That alone matters. Because the very fact that you've stayed with this, that you've been listening, reading, processing, is proof that the part of you that wants to change is alive. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's exhausted. Maybe it's been buried under years of self-doubt. But it's alive. And now we talk about the deeper shift. The shift from trying to become something to being something. The shift from ambition to identity. This is the real transformation. Not just what you do, but who you believe you are. Because no amount of self-help tools, productivity hacks, or motivational quotes will stick if deep down you still believe you are broken. If you still believe you are someone who just doesn't follow through. If you still carry the identity of the one who always stops. So let's burn that version. Right here, right now. Let's lay it to rest. Not with shame, not with guilt, but with gratitude. because that identity was just a survival strategy, a defense. It was your brain's way of saying, if I don't try, I can't fail. If I don't move, I can't fall. But now you're different. You're not chasing perfection anymore, you're chasing truth. And truth is messy. Truth is alive. Truth moves. Let's walk through what it actually takes to rebuild your identity. Not as a dreamer, but as a doer. Step 1. Identity is a verb. Forget everything you've heard about identity being fixed. It's not. Identity is not a title. It's a behavior in motion. You are not a writer because you published a novel. You're a writer because you write. You're not disciplined because you ran a marathon. You're disciplined because you put your shoes on even when it rains. Your identity isn't built in your head. It's built in your calendar. So look at what you did this week. That's who you are right now. And that's not a judgment. That's a starting point. You can be someone new, but it won't happen in theory. It will happen in habit. And here's the magic. The moment you act like the version of you that you want to become, you're already becoming them. Step 2. Stack proof, not pressure. You don't become a confident person by yelling affirmations in the mirror. You become confident by proving to your nervous system that you can be trusted. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you build trust. You said you'd write for 2 minutes. You did it. That's a brick. You said you'd go for a 5-minute walk. You did it. Another brick. You said you'd reach out to one person. You did it. Another brick. Brick by brick, action by action, you are building a structure that will hold you when motivation disappears. Because it will. You won't always feel inspired. But you will have evidence. Evidence that you do things now. That you move. That you don't need to be ready anymore. You just need to be in motion. Step 3. Build systems, not willpower. Willpower is a terrible long-term strategy. It burns out. It fades. It gets hijacked by stress and emotion. What works long-term is structure. If your phone is a distraction, delete the app. If the morning is chaotic, prep the night before. If your energy drops at 2 p.m., plan your break ahead. Stop relying on your future self to suddenly have the energy. Respect that version of you enough to build them a system. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. Step 4. Master the boring. This is the secret most creators, entrepreneurs, athletes, and high performers don't tell you. Success is boring. It's repetitive, it's unsexy, it's often invisible. It's saying no to a dopamine hit so you can show up for 10 minutes of practice. It's writing when you don't feel like it, editing when no one's watching, creating when no one's clapping. The people who make it, who actually change their lives, are not the ones chasing excitement. They're the ones who have made peace with the mundane, and they've stopped needing every step to feel meaningful. They just take the step. That's what separates potential from momentum. Step 5. Handle the dip. There will come a moment, maybe you've hit it before, where the initial excitement wears off, where the streak breaks, where the old voices get loud again. See, you're not consistent. This is just like last time. Who are you kidding? That's not a failure, that's the dip. And it's a test of whether you'll collapse into your old story or rewrite it, because every slip is not a reason to quit. It's a reason to recommit. Let go of the illusion of a perfect streak. Build a resilient one, the kind that bends and flexes and bounces back. Step 6. Redefine progress. You've been taught that progress is fast, loud, and visible, that you should be making quantum leaps, going viral, doubling your income overnight. That's not how growth works. Real progress is invisible at first. It's sitting with discomfort and not running from it. It's choosing the hard truth over the easy lie. It's turning down the volume on panic and turning up the volume on patience. Sometimes progress is simply not quitting. Sometimes it's being kinder to yourself on a bad day. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. Step 7. Practice psychological flexibility. One of the strongest predictors of long-term mental well-being is psychological flexibility, the ability to notice your thoughts and emotions without letting them control your behavior. You feel doubt and still take the step. You feel fear and still show up. You feel tired and still move your body. This is not suppression. This is mastery. The goal is not to feel amazing all the time. The goal is to act in alignment with your values, even when your emotions are all over the place. You are not the voice in your head. You are the observer, and you always have a choice. Step 8. Expand the self. Eventually, the goal isn't just personal improvement, it's expansion. To use your growth as fuel to help others. To become the person who inspires, who uplifts, who creates safety for others to change just by being who they are. When you start to move, you give permission to others to move. When you show up imperfectly, you give others permission to do the same. You're not just building habits, you're building a legacy, even if no one sees it yet. Closing message. Become the one who moves. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not someone who just doesn't follow through. That's the old story. You're done with that now. You are someone who moves, not perfectly, not always easily, but consistently, authentically, with heart. You move not because you're fearless, but because you're done being paralyzed. You move not because you've figured it all out, but because you're done waiting for that day to come. You move because you've realized the truth. No one is coming to save you, and you don't need them to. You are the one you've been waiting for. So get up, open the document, tie your shoes, speak the sentence, take the breath. Make the call, do it small, do it badly, do it afraid, but do it. And when your brain screams that it's not enough, smile. Because you know something now that it doesn't. Every small step is sacred. Every tiny act is a vote for the person you are becoming. That's how you close the gap. Not with a leap, but with undeniable motion, one step at a time.